episode 2 of Old Man Walking Around with a Phone on a Stick. Right, what we continue to talk about? Art, politics, all of it. I get told by some people that making art when people are dying is an irrelevance, a bourgeois game. And then if you do it, if you make work, you get told to stay in your lane. You don't know what my lane is. I have been able to make a modest living from making art for a third of my life, and I consider myself extremely lucky. But most of my time where I was making art, I was also having to sustain that with other jobs. I had a lot of other jobs. I've worked in factories, I've worked in shops, worked on building sites. None of your fully qualified building work, mind, just labouring. I've worked in offices. I've worked on what used to be called a phone bureau. I don't know what they call that now. Customer service. Imagine me in customer service. What a nightmare. Do you like it here? I like it here. I think the dog likes it here. Like it here, dog? Dog likes it here. Jobs. Yeah, I've had all manner of jobs. And at that age was when the old experiment of neoliberalism was launched. And Thatcher, who was, to her credit, a permanent inspiration for a lot of us punk graphers and mess makers on the street. But yeah, she was, or her government, her establishment, her ne'er-do-wells, all of them, they were taking apart, undermining the social contract that had been hard fought for and established and came to its peak after the Second World War. So be a good citizen, contribute, and if it goes wrong, we'll support you. Don't cause the state any problems, and when you're old, we'll give you a pension. Pay your taxes, and we'll arrange health services and education services for all. But no, ideologically, they were convinced that could be done in a more efficient manner, and that's a result of where we are now. But still, there are apologists for that idiotic, dangerous ideology, not even just amongst its own adherents, but amongst the general population. People unschooled in social theorising, economics, history even, which is quite sad. Standing against your own self-interests, driven by a media controlled by a few rich people to maintain their, I think it's just their ego, isn't it? I mean, they have, they say, more wealth than the dreams even of Croesus. They don't need the money. I was talking about work, wasn't I? My jobs. How did I get here? Diverted onto the subject of Thatcher again. Always Thatcher. I don't know. Politics or art, the things are the same. Yes, my jobs, not unrelated to the notion of Thatcher and changing times. When I was 20, 21, I got a job for the gas board. And I can remember my grandmother saying to me, "Oh, you got a job for life there." She was wrong. The notion of a job for life. When I started at the gas board, I can remember working with my colleagues there in their 60s, approaching their retirement. Friends and colleagues at work, not always, but often they got married to staff within the gas board. That was not an uncommon thing. And they would socialise together, they would socialise with their colleagues. There were gas board, social clubs, and there were pensioner groups. So when they retired, they would carry on mixing with the same people. So yes, the notion of a job for life was a real thing. I didn't have a job for life. I missed that one. I must admit, wanting to be an artist and not getting anywhere with that. At that time, this was just prior to the YBAs, the Young British Artists. The idea of being an artist, I must have been off of my head. I lived in a small village off of a small town, the top ass end of an inconsequential county in a region of the country that was not taken seriously. We were all considered slow, stupid, good for farming in my area, good for going down coal mines. So why the hell I thought I could make a career out of art? I didn't even think I thought of making a career out of it. I don't know what I was thinking. I just knew this was what I wanted to do. Mad. So I had this job. How did I get onto this subject? You're going to have to get used to this. I get diverted. Yeah, I had a lot of different jobs. Ah yes, politics. That was when I discovered trade unions, when I was at British Gas. The trade union then was NALGO, or National Association of Local Government Officers, perhaps. Yes, that was it. So I got involved with that. Basically because I'd seen beforehand, when I'd been doing other jobs, particularly in the building trade, shifty practices that were potentially dangerous. People falling off ladders and nearly getting killed, you know. And when the opportunity came to get involved with a trade union and I was introduced to its benefits at British Gas with NALGO, I got involved. And ever having always been pissed off with bullies, I thought, this is a good organisation. I like this setup. Basically, there's a paperwork organised anti-bullying system going on here with the unions. One other thing I discovered when I was involved with that union was the political work outside of the immediate concerns of your job. And I remember the campaign in South Africa against apartheid, and our union was very active in that, and I thought that was good. I thought that was interesting. It informed me politically, and I was very active in that union. Got involved when they were amalgamated into and alongside Noopy and Cozy. Training, practicing. We love it, don't we? We love a bit of war. So yeah, these three unions got joined together into unison. After the gas board, I found myself in the health service, again at the lower end of the salary scale. The main qualification, because the pay was comparatively poor compared to the private sector, the main qualification was he turned up for the interview, he's still breathing, you're in. And when I was in there, I found unison again, and I got involved again because I can't help myself. But all the time it reminded me there were campaigns and there was solidarity, there was support with other trade unions, there was support with other groups across the world. One of those groups was support for Palestine. Can I say that on this channel? Do I get algorithmed out of existence? You know, that country, the state that is no state, the state within a state that is currently being eradicated by the other state. What were we talking about? Art or politics? Art or politics, yes. Both. Know where you stand. It goes back to Thatcher again. Know where you stand. But Know where you're meant to be. Know your place. It's important to know where you stand. However, you will be told repeatedly to know your place. I was very involved in any organisational doings that would support the notion of an independent state for the Palestinian people. I had to know what I'm defending, supporting, fighting for, looking after, railing against. Similarly, I'll try and do what I can to undo the excesses of that system. That's where we are now. So yes, I did some artwork. My style of protest, because I don't have time to paint protest in the street, is to make something that can be glued up in the street. And I sent it to some friends around the world. And it was life-size drawings of happy kids running, playing with a flag as a symbol of the inevitability of that incessant search for the reclamation of their state. Because it will come. You won't get rid of the demand for it. It'll never go away. And as long as it won't go away, it has to be resolved. So I sent it to some friends. One went to Martin up at Stavanger in Norway, and he was happy to do it. He's very politically minded and supportive of the issues involved. So he pasted the picture on a wall opposite the entrance to a hospital, which he thought was appropriate considering the number of hospitals that are being bombed to oblivion at the moment. And then the council, he thinks, painted over it within 24 hours. This is in a city and culture that's supportive of freedom of expression, street art in particular, and has seen the benefits of that support for street art. So 24 hours, he was a bit pissed off. But it's a fight, isn't it? It's a continual fight. Like I said, don't worry. I've got more charcoal than they've got paint. I'll send him another one. I may already have done so. I sent them to a friend in Australia, Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. Who arranged for it to be pasted up in the street, which it was. A similar picture of a child running with a flag to symbolise this century-long struggle. That one lasted about a week. I've also got friends in Germany. I sent one to friend Klaus in Dusseldorf. He pasted it on the wall. I think that one's still there. I may be wrong. And I sent one to a friend who's very political in London. Guy, he's a photographer, a press photographer who does a lot of photography supporting people from West Asia. Middle East. Middle East? East of where? Middle of what? West Asia. Anyway, Guy is a photographer based in London, and he's arranging for one to go on a wall in London. Thank you, Guy. So, you're free. Freedom of expression. You're free to express what they allow you to express. Know your place. I will keep you informed. It's good to have these friends, solidarity, etc. And back on the road, all the roads are stories. There's that road. There's that road. That was the road we took today. I think that's all for now. Ta-ta.